Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Goranga, 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 Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namaste. Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namaste. Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
This age is considered as the age of Kali, or the age of quarrel and confusion, where people are fighting, people are indifferent, people are confused, and they always fight. Everyone is confused. Even in India, they are arguing right now if we are already in the age of quarrel and confusion. They are confused and arguing. No, this is not yet the age of Kali. Some say this and some say that it is. No? So it's a sign that we are already in the age of quarrel and confusion. Even here in the Philippines right now, as we all know that the election period is fast approaching, and everyone is on the quarrel mode. No, they're fighting for their candidate. No? We have the reds, we have the yellows, we have greens, we have pinks. No? We have different colors, and they're fighting for that color. We're using the color. We don't need to mention names. And because of this, we see people, friends against friends, families against families, sisters and brothers against sisters and brothers. Of course, people have their own opinions, they have their own side, and because we are all individuals, we cannot avoid that. You have your own choice, you have your own will. But of course, the problem here is not the choice or the will. The problem is, where do we focus our lives? Where do we focus our heart? That's one reason why we have this quarreling and why there is confusion all over the world. Not only here in the Philippines, even somewhere in, I think it's in Russia, Georgia, or somewhere there. They're preparing for war, or they are ready to go to war. So Russia is always ready for war. So anyway, the Vedas said that we can attain peace and achieve the goal of life through Harinama, the chanting of the names of God. There is no other alternative. In the previous ages, in the previous yuga, there are other ways or processes that we can use to achieve love, to achieve God, and it's not applicable in this age. We cannot sit for 10 hours a day with just clearing our mind. So in the previous ages, there's this process where you sit down on meditation, sitting down for 10 hours a day or more. But right now we cannot do that. We cannot even stand for an hour or even 10 minutes that we don't move. Can we still do that? Not moving. You have a clear thoughts and you just stay in one position, just focusing on your pranayama or your breathing. I think it's hard to do now, yeah? So it's that process is not applicable in this age. There's also this process of focusing our mind to the Lord within our heart. It's also hard to do that because our mind, there are a lot of things that flows, this stream of thoughts, this river of ideas, thoughts, and emotions that flows in our mind, through our mind. And it's hard to ignore. Sometimes we have this hard time to ignore things. We see these desires, we see these thoughts, we see these emotions in our hearts and mind, and it's hard for us to ignore. So the process of focusing our mind towards the Lord within our heart is very hard to achieve. That's why it's not also applicable right now. That's why the process of Sankirtan, the chanting of the names of God, was inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya when he appeared some 500 years ago. Before he arrived, before he appeared, it was already written in the scriptures that the Supreme Person will appear, not as the Supreme Person, but as a devotee, in a cloak of devotee, wherein he will teach us the process on how we can achieve the goal of life. It was written that in the age of Kali or quarrel of confusion, that the Supreme Person will appear. So thus he appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he inaugurated the process of chanting the names of God. we don't need to apply so many other processes. We just have to use this process. We apply it in our lives. There are no other way. I remember some long time ago, there's this particular group that you will not be allowed. I mean, when someone dies, their body will not be allowed to be buried with the bodies of the congregation if you were not baptized. So, kung hindi ka na baptized, hindi ka pwede ilibing, yung bangkay mo hindi pwede ilibing doon sa sementeryo ng mga kasamahan mo na nabaptized. No? So your body will be outcast. No? So I don't know if there are still groups are doing that. So because they consider you as impure. So when you leave your body, then they don't want the body to be included with the rest of the group. So there are different practices, different religious practices that, in a sense, this is what they were doing. If you're not considered as, you will not be considered as part of the group if you did not apply their process. So when the late President Marcos was still the president, he has this program, from womb to tomb. From womb to tomb. So they started a program that includes from childhood to death, from birth to death. Some religious group have these types of sacraments also, from womb to tomb. So if you did not take part in these sacraments, then, but this is an old practice. So things change. Anyway, so the practice was, if you did not have or receive certain sacraments, then you are not considered part of the group. When you leave your body, then your body will be isolated somewhere. You will not be considered as part of that group. So, people bury their dead bodies, and there's a distinction for what's this? This area is for legit members. This one is for, I don't know what they call, or untouchables or something like that. So, because they are following processes, it's as if that if you did not receive this certain sacrament, you will have no way to have a relationship, or you will have no way to develop your relationship with God. That the holy names is so powerful. It's none different from God Himself. You don't actually need a certain criteria to receive the holy names. Whether you are poor, you are rich, you're in a female or a male body, whether you're in an Asian, you're in a European, American, or whatever race your body came from. There's no really actually pure Asian. There's no pure European right now. It's all mixed because of interracial relationship, marriages. We can hardly find someone we can call a pure blood. If you notice, even if we look at our yung bodily structures, we can see we have different forms because we did not come from one blood. No, we come from different bloods, so there's nothing like pure. And it doesn't matter anyway, because the holy names, you can still receive the holy names whether you're pure or not. So, not only humans, no? The human body, even the insects, the animals, and the plants are benefited when they hear the holy names. So this process is not only for us who are in the human body. This process is also for other living entities. There was this story I heard from Sri Prabhupada about this person he was talking to, and the person he was talking to, she said that she loved her dog so much, but at the same time she has this understanding that dogs have no spirit soul inside them. So she's lonely because it's about to leave her. The dog's life is going to end, and at the same time, so there's a contradiction there. Why will you be lonely when the dog dies? If you are saying that it's just a lump of matter, so walang person doon. If there's no person, then why need to worry? Even with our families, we have experienced someone who left behind, someone close to us. Why do we experience this pain if we know that, okay, that's just the body and it's still there? No? After some time it will rot, but it's there. The person did not leave. If we have this understanding that the person really is just matter, a lump of chemicals combined, then we don't need to be lonely. We don't need to cry when someone leaves, when someone dies. The reason why we experience pain when there's death, because we know that a person left that body. We know that there was someone who was there that we were relating to. And when death happens, that person leaves that body. That's why we're lonely. We feel sad. And we know that we cannot relate anymore to that person. Yeah? So the loneliness that we feel is because we've been attached to that person. And it depends on the person. Sometimes it takes a long time, no? Especially if you're attached to someone. It takes a long time for you to recover from that, from the death experience of a loved one. Some takes months, some takes even years. But you will not experience the same when you see, maybe you have your favorite bag and it's destroyed. You will not experience the same loneliness because there's no person there. It's just, that's dead matter. What's the difference between live matter and dead matter? Live matter has a person inside. It moves, it relates to us. But dead matter is just something that we can utilize. It cannot interact. So people will say, well, we have invented robots now that can interact. They can communicate. And there's this chatbot that can gives emotional comments. So we are far advanced now that our AIs or artificial intelligence can communicate with us and answer some questions. But of course, these are synthetic. They are called synthetic life, where there's no real growth. No? Even if we put it in a body, like a mechanical body, there's no growth there. You cannot see a robot growing from child robot into an adult robot. The size that it was made will always be the same. But a matter with life, you'll know that there's life in it because aside from the movements, aside from interacting with us, it grows. It grows. And then it multiplies. So we can see human bodies, they have offsprings. You can see plants, they also do multiply. Nagbubunga, namumulaklak, dumadami. Because there's life there. The animals as well, they can multiply because there's life there. So that's the difference. The other things, people can now duplicate it, like movements and interaction, because of the computers. But reproduction and growth, internal growth, not external, because maybe you can say, okay, let's add a new feet to this robot so that it can grow. No, we're talking about internal growth, wherein from inside the body grows. So this is a sign of life. And every living entities that is alive is benefited from the process of chanting, from the process of hearing and chanting the names of God. Although we can see that the trees don't move, we can see that the animals, they have a different language than us. No? And how can they be benefited? The Supreme Person is so powerful. The sound vibration of the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, enters into the body. It purifies. So when we say sound, it's a vibration. You don't need to understand the vibration. You don't need to understand the words. Simply by receiving the sound, you will be purified. And similarly, the animals and the plants are the same. Simply by experiencing the sound vibration, they can also be purified. That's why it is important that we congregate. What we do kirtan. It's the congregational chanting of the names of God. And when we do that, when we congregate and chant the names of God, we do it loudly. We do it loudly that other living entities can hear. Because they don't have the facility to chant. You cannot see a tree opening its mouth and chanting the names of God. The dogs and the cats cannot even understand. So, you don't need to be like the children, no? Sometimes the newborn or those who cannot talk yet or have no understanding yet, they don't need to be like baptized to be close to God simply by hearing the names of God. So even still in the tummy, no, it purifies the person. So we don't have to think about the old processes na pag hindi na baptize, hindi makapunta sa langit or whatever. Because the process of chanting the names of God, it cleanses the heart and the mind of the person. That's how powerful the Supreme Person is. We cannot separate the energy, the potency of God from the holy names, because the holy names, the sound vibration is non-different from God. So, there's no other alternative, meaning we don't need to apply a lot of processes. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said that forget what's this? I don't remember the actual term, but it's about never mind other religion. There's only one religion, and that's love for God. So other religious practices that we do, it doesn't help us. If a certain process does not help develop your love for God, then that certain process is useless process. There's no need to apply. But if that process gets us close to God, like for example, living a simple life, it elevates our mind, then that helps us. We should apply it in our life. For example, eating vegetarian foodstuffs, becoming a vegetarian, it draws us into the mode of ignorance. Only in the mode of ignorance we can go into the transcendental platform. It's our jump point to the transcendental world, the transcendental platform, in mode of ignorance. So the practice of eating vegetarian stuffs only elevates us into that situation. That's why that certain process is helpful. But if you've noticed that I've been doing this for so long and I cannot experience that my love for God is growing, then we can say that certain process is not helping you. You have to assess, because no one can know what you feel. No one can say that, okay, you are in this stage now. You are in this stage. No one can assess you. It's only you. We only have guides. We have the scriptures. We have the spiritual master as guide to tell us what we should do. They gave us the guide, how we can measure our the degree of our love toward God. They gave us the guide, but ultimately we are the ones who will know where we are now. No one can tell you, okay, you're very advanced. This one's not advanced. No one can tell you that. Only you can know that. And the processes that we apply in our lives, the activities that we engage in, the activities that we do, you are the one to assess. This one is helping me going closer to God. This one is not helping me. Of course, there are things that are general instructions given to us. We have these do's and don'ts. And it's given because it's already proven. Like the four regulative principles. We are not advised to eat meat because it has been proven that there is an effect on your consciousness when you do that. No? So, and the other regulative principles also, like gambling, illicit sex. These things have been proven to change your consciousness, and we are advised that we follow the advice of the spiritual master and the scriptures. But there are other things that are not written there. Maybe we'll think, oh, it's not written in any scripture, so maybe I'll just do this. But you have to assess it yourself. Hey, this is not helping me. Going with materialistic people, it's not written in there, in this scripture, or I have not heard of it. But you will be attracted to materialistic life. So you have to see, okay, this is not for me. I should not be doing this. So, Harinama eva kevalam, kaloa nasteva gatiranyata. The names of God. There is no other alternative to it. You want to get away from the suffering of this world. You want to be saved from the miseries that we experience in our lives. Then apply the process of devotional service, the hearing and chanting of the names of God. You don't need to be part of any group. There's no registration fee. There's this particular group that when you leave the group and you want to return, you have to pay some amount, like 25,000, I think. I forgot. Maybe it's higher now because of the inflation, the economy. But I've heard that when you're a member of that group and you, for example, you left and you wanted to return back, you have to pay the 25,000 amount to be part again of that group, or else you'll rot in hell or burn or something. We don't need that. You don't need that. You just have to apply the process in your lives. That's how powerful the holy names is. There's this story of Ajamil. He was born in the family of Brahmana, and one time he saw these two individuals having sexual intercourse, and the act, the scene, he was able to forget about it, what he saw. So he was contemplating on that scenario until he was in a situation where he is not practicing the processes that he was been practicing. So he was not chanting the names of God anymore. And he married a prostitute. And they have a child. They called it Narayan. So he forgot the practices that he had, and then one day when he was about to leave his body, he saw these agents of death. So they're called Yamaduts, the agents of Yamaraj, Yamaduts. There is a good description there in Srimad Bhagavatam, yung itsura ng Yamaduts. No? I have not read that yet, but it said, I've heard that they are ugly. No? So when you're about to leave your body, you'll get to see a lot of, maybe, I don't know, no? So I've just heard Ma'am ni Chalila's mom, when she always sees her siblings. Nandiyan na yung mga kapatid ko, aalis na kami. She was talking like that. So when you're about to leave your body, you'll see people or maybe creatures. Kung sino yung susundo sa iyo, yun ang makikita nyo. No? So of course, externally, the people around you cannot notice that. Only you can notice it. So that's why we can see people, they know that they are about to leave. They can sense, okay, I think it's my time. And so Ajamil was about to leave his body, and he saw these Yamaduts. They're ugly as hell, and he was so afraid. He kept calling his son. His son was named Narayan. Narayan is Krsna, the Supreme Person. It's another name of Krsna. He was calling his son, Narayan, Narayan. He loves his son. Narayan, Narayan. Then afterwards, the Vishnu Duts appeared. So these are the agents of Lord Vishnu. So they have the same form of Lord Vishnu. So Krsna has this Vishnu form where they have, what's this? Mas maraming kamay. Six ba? Or apat? Anyway, so it's blue in color, like Lord Krishna, and they appeared. And they took Ajamil away from the Yamaduts. So the Yamaduts were confused. They went back, they reported to their boss, Yamaraj. Boss, ba't ganun? No? Amin na yun eh. That person was sinful. No? We should have fetched him. How come there were other who got that person? So it was explained to them that the power of the names, the holy names, when you chant even once, even just one time with sincerity. Ajamil was not even chanting, he was not even thinking about the Supreme Person. He was thinking about his son, but he was chanting the names of God. So the Vishnu Duts appeared and took him instead of the agents of death. That's how, in that story, it shows how powerful the names of God. That's how powerful the names of God. Even though we are not yet in the consciousness, the pure state of loving God, but simply by chanting the names of God, it elevates us. It puts us in a transcendental environment. Na-elevate tayo from materialistic. That's why it's called mantra. No? It draws the mind away from the material sphere, material dimension, into the spiritual dimension, into the spiritual world. So the chanting of the Maha mantra. Maha means great. So the greatest mantra is the Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we chant this mantra with sincerity from our heart, even once, we can experience, we can have a glimpse of that love. Pag natikman na natin yung love na yun, hahanap-hanapin na natin. Once we taste it, even just once, we long for it. And we'll wish na, hopefully I can taste it again. That sweetness. So we chant more and more. Like in India, there are different groups there. And these Muslims, they tease the Hindus because Hindus have Hari in their names. Hari this, Hari das. There are different, basta laging may Hari ang pangalan. No? So the Muslims, they tease because one meaning of Hari is thief. Thief, magnanakaw. No? So isang meaning ng Hari. So the Muslims tease the Hindus na Hari, Hari, Hari. But so the leader was confused. I know that it's okay for the Hindus to chant Hari, Hari, because that's one of their practice. But I don't understand how come you are chanting Hari. They explain that we tease the Hindus. That's why we chant Hari. Hari parang magnanakaw. Magnanakaw. So they do that in a teaseful manner. But they say that once we chant, it stays in our tongue and we cannot stop chanting. It's continuous. No, we cannot chant. We cannot stop chanting, and we kept on chanting and chanting. So when we chant, it's because we feel. No? Our empty hearts are getting filled. No? Although we can't explain the experience. We know na masayang gawin to. No? Masayang gawin. So you can experience somehow that your emptiness is being filled, and then you chant more. Pero kung mas matimbang yung materialistic desire, then you'll just neglect the process. Yeah? Although the chanting helps us, but because we are so covered, we're in illusion, we tend to harden our heart and forget about that. I want to enjoy. Last time we discussed that one reason why we don't want to apply the process in our hearts, in our life, because we want to be like God. We want to experience happiness that is not connected with God, which is impossible. But we are in illusion and we don't see it, that it's impossible, because the source of happiness is Krishna. Krishna is the source of happiness. You want to become happy, you go to the source. Huh? You want to learn something, you go to a learning institution. That's logical. So if you want to become happy, you go where the source of happiness is. You connect to the source. So one reason why we don't want to apply the process, because we are trying to achieve this happiness, but we are doing it by putting our backs. We're putting the source behind our backs. No? Tinatalikuran natin yung source ng happiness. That's why it's very impossible na we can achieve such goal. No? So our endeavor is futile. But malabong mangyari. We just follow the instruction given to us by the saintly person, given to us by Lord Krishna. And surely we can experience that which is we're longing for. You are longing for love, you are longing for happiness. Where can we get that? So, Harinama, there's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way. So, let's chant. No? So, loudly para kasama yung mga trees. Good morning, everyone. Haribol Namaste.
Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna. Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama 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 Madana Mohana Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Goranga Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Goranga Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Naminei Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate